Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes. Hello and welcome again, everybody, to the Team Engagement Podcast. And I'm very excited to welcome Nic Restrepo. He is the Senior Vice President of Sales for World Emblem out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So Nic, thank you so much for taking time to join me on the podcast today. First of all, what would you like the audience to know about World Emblem?
Well, Sean, thanks for having me on. Look, World Emblem, we are the world's largest emblem manufacturer, and everything we make is made in North America, which is very unique these days. So if people can take one thing from today's podcast, learning about World Emblem, is if they're looking for an emblem solution entirely made in North America, that's us.
That's awesome. So is that primarily for apparel and clothing items, or can it be for pretty much anything?
Look, it's pretty much for anything. The reality of it is the majority of our customers all are in the apparel and wearable business, but we have customers that make shoes. We have customers that do cups, book bags, notebooks, you name it. If they want to decorate it, they come to us.
Awesome. I like it. All right. Well, let's get started with our questions then. Question number 1, Nic, sometimes in a team or a company environment, people can fall into a little bit of a lull and the energy kind of decreases a little bit. What can leaders do to infuse energy back into their teams?
Man, that one's easy. Lead by example. Show up with energy.
I like it.
I think it's really hard for people to be around a leader that is full of energy, that exudes it. They show up day in, day out, right? It doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's blazing hot outside. You show up with that energy, you set the tone. People will get on board. It's infectious.
I like that. And it is very true. Energy is infectious, and that's a good thing. So great tip. I love it. Okay. Question number 2, how do you promote learning in your company?
You know, one thing that we do is we're constantly talking about the things that we're reading or that we're watching. We encourage people to discuss it. So I think it comes down from our leadership. Our CEO he's a voracious reader, and he's constantly sharing with us what he's reading. And he posts it in his newsletter, and he offers people to buy them books. So that's always been something, again, talking about the infectious energy. It's about the infectious learning. You see your leaders learning, they're talking about it. You hear 2 or 3 people discussing a book, a podcast. I mean, AI is huge right now. There's tons of people talking about AI. And when he's encouraging us by mentioning what he's learning about, I think we follow suit, and then our people follow suit as well. And then when you're bringing up the topic, it's like people don't want to feel left out. They don't want to know. They don't want to be the ones that missed that episode. So you see them follow suit.
Oh, that's awesome. It's fun because you mentioned the books and articles or whatever else they may be reading or watching, but also that there's some space to discuss them. Because a lot of times what I've observed in some companies is they talk about, hey, read a book or whatever, but they never really talk about the contents of what they're reading, what they're learning, and having an opportunity to share with others. So I think that's a really valuable point that you brought up. I like that. All right, question number 3, share one tip for effective delegation.
Look, in my world, what I've learned about delegation is when you delegate something to somebody by asking for help. I need your help with. People want to show up. I think it's in human nature that people want to help each other out. When you're asking somebody to help you, and in that task of help, you're delegating a task for them to do, they want to show up, and they want to bring their best because they want to help you.
No, I love that. And you're very accurate, I believe, in that approach that people do want to help. They want to contribute in the way that they can best contribute, and therefore give it their best. I love how you said that. Great. All right. Question number 4. How do you communicate your purpose and vision of the company to your team?
Say it and say it again, and write it again, and say it again, and send an email about it and get a picture about it, and just keep bringing it up, right? It's not about a once and done. It's not about, let me tell you what my vision is and let's walk away from it and let's revisit it at the end of the year. No, every opportunity we get, after every meeting, after every town hall, after anything that we're getting an opportunity to get the team together, we tie it back to that vision. Hey, how does this tie back to the vision? And how did you see it tying back to the vision, right? Like, get everybody talking about it, but make sure that the one thing that you can control is you're repeating it and you're bringing it up over and over and over until they know it inside and out.
You hit on a really critical point that often gets overlooked. And this is part of the reason why I asked the question to begin with about this idea of communicating it. And you said something really important about tying it, everything that we do, tying it back to that vision. And when the employees and the staff and everybody in the company can see that and feel it and have that picture in their mind that you mentioned, that's when it starts to really sink in about the vision, the values, the purpose, all of those kinds of things that are important to know. But we've got to be able to not just know them up here and be able to recite them or read them off of the wall or whatever it is, but we have to be able to see it play out in our everyday actions and when we're interacting with customers or with fellow employees, whatever it is. Love that. Great comments. Okay, question number 5. I'm looking forward to this one because before we started the recording here, you and I were talking a little bit about some baseball, so I'm excited to hear. Question number 5, tell us one of your favorite baseball stories. I'm excited to hear it.
One of my favorite baseball stories to this day is still it's an oxymoron, right? I grew up being a Yankees fan, but the very first time I went to Fenway Park, I fell in love with it.
Wow.
I'm not a Red Sox lover. Let's not get that mistaken. I still have no love for the Red Sox, but my God, I just fell in love with that stadium. And I remember talking with friends of mine when I grew up in Connecticut. We were going to go to a game. Hey, let's go to a baseball game. And I was always wanting to go to Fenway. I'm like, hey, let's wait for the Yankees to go to Fenway. There's something about that park, and especially after the old Yankee Stadium went down, Fenway's just it's probably that and Wrigley Field, right?
Wrigley, yeah, those are the two.
So, but there's something very wrong in my sentiment because I've always enjoyed going to Fenway. So that's my funny baseball story.
Oh, I love it. I love it because there is some real truth to that. I've never been to Fenway. It's on the bucket list to get to Fenway because I'm not, we talked about this at before we started the recording. I'm a big Phillies fan. The audience knows that. Always have been, probably always will be. But there's something about the nostalgia of a Wrigley Field or a Fenway Park that there's a spirit there. There's a feeling there. There's an energy there that you just don't get anywhere else. So I love that. That's a great story to share. Especially coming from a diehard Yankees fan such as yourself. I think that's great. So
yeah. Thank you.
All right, Nic, thank you so much for taking time, especially I know you're traveling right now and to stop and take a few minutes to share your ideas on leadership. Really, really appreciate you jumping on. How can people find you?
Sean, people can find me on LinkedIn under Nic Restrepo, Restrepo. They can also find me on our World Emblem homepage, worldemblem.com. All of our contact information is listed there.
Fantastic. Thanks so much again, Nic, and thanks to all of you who are joining us each week to hear another episode of the Team Engagement Podcast, where we can learn how to be better leaders, be more influential, and have greater teams and greater success in everything that we're doing. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great day. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. We also invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening or watching. Is your business thriving? Go to tbs-score.com to find out. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.